Hello, CSET Social Science students, U.S. History A and World History A students. This is David Goyette, National University Virtual Academy, Academy of Health Sciences, and of course the Extended Learning Program. I am going to do a little review of the origins of World War I, audio review. Of course, it's not going to be all that entertaining. I don't have many images for you, so if you're a visual learner, this will be primarily the auditory, and I have to apologize, of course, for your having to look at my mug the entire time, so you may avert your eyes. All right, origins of World War II, not World War I, origins of World War II. A few students have requested other resources for this. You will notice if you go to your resources tab, you will find there are lists of publications and videos you can take a look at, both fiction, both the non-fictional text versions and the videos. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick review of origins of World War II. Okay, let's go back to a quick review of the Axis powers. The Axis powers included the following: Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, and Japan. Again, Axis powers include Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy under Mussolini, and Japan. The Allied powers include the following: France and its empire, Great Britain and its empire, the Commonwealth Allies. The Commonwealth Allies are Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Other allies include, at different times during the war, the Soviet Union, China, and of course, after December 7th, 1941, the attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States enters the war not just as a supplier of arms, but as an active member of the Allied forces. In an effort to fulfill imperialist goals, Japan invaded Manchuria in violation of the League of Nations. Now, we know the League of Nations was somewhat like the UN, but it was designed, of course, under Woodrow Wilson's leadership in part, to keep peace, much like the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and the United Nations of our time. These organizations were supposed to maintain peace by keeping diplomacy open, keeping the discussion open between the countries so that issues of borders, land, supplies, and resources could be discussed, and hopefully conclusions could be arrived at without violence, without war. And of course the Treaty of Versailles, we're going to take a look at that too, which kind of was supposed to help. It would be in combination with the League of Nations, actually made it difficult for the League of Nations to successfully do its job. Let's look at Japan invading Manchuria. This is in 1937. In violation of the League of Nations, Japan responded to warnings by withdrawing from the League and starting a full-scale invasion of China in 1937. We'll get to the rape of Nanking shortly. Italy attacked Ethiopia at this time. Italy had some territories in Africa, Ethiopia being one of them. In violation of the League of Nations, little effective resistance was given to Italy, so basically Mussolini was able to take Ethiopia. Germany invaded Germany violated the Treaty of Versailles by remilitarizing the Rhine and invading Sudetenland. I'm going to give you a short kind of play-by-play or a recap of the build-up with the League of Nations and Hitler going into Sudetenland from Charles Messenger's The Second World War in the West, a recommended resource, good pictures as well. In early September, the British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain flew into Germany to obtain Hitler's assurance that Sudetenland was the final territorial ambition, but the policy of allowing him a free hand had to be sold to the French and the hapless Czechs. In the meantime, both Britain and France carried out a partial mobilization, which indeed erecting anti-aircraft defenses in their respective capitals. The French accepted the proposal and told the Czechs that they would withdraw all support from them if they did not allow Germany to annex the German-speaking region of Sudetenland. At the end of September at Munich, at a meeting of Hitler, Mussolini, and Neville Chamberlain, and the French Prime Minister Daladier, the whole of Sudetenland was signed away to German, and the German troops entered the province in triumph on October 1st. Now this is leading up, this is prior to Poland. So it's leading up to the Polish invasion, and this is kind of this idea of appeasement that's often talked about, that this appeasement didn't work. This effort to try to give Hitler certain concessions and say, oh, just take this chunk of land. These people will be okay with that. They don't have much of a military. Go ahead and take that and then go away. We don't want you to start a war. Well, this appeasement wasn't working with a personality like Hitler in the least. And so you can see this is the region we're talking about here. Oops, slide that over. And of course you can find better maps. Of course on the YouTube it's not going to come out all that well, but you can get a general idea of Sudetenland and the region. Okay, so then the relief of Britain and France that war had been averted was intense, with the British claiming that Chamberlain was a hero. Now this, of course, is a very popular phrase. Now catch this. And on his return from Munich, that he had brought peace in our time. Now, there's nothing, I am not bashing diplomacy in the least. Diplomacy works and it doesn't make the paper. So for all the military efforts we have, that's going to make the news. Great diplomacy hardly ever does because it's not going to be on your front page. But in this case, peace in our time is often used as, you know, Chamberlain's idea that, okay, I did it. I staved off Hitler. He's not going to be a menace. Well, it just fueled the fire, so to speak. It just 4 weeks after he had occupied Sudetenland, Hitler turned his eyes on Poland. He demanded that the Poles hand over the port of Danzig and that Germany be allowed to establish road and rail links with East Prussia across the Polish corridor. Now we know about the Poles. The Poles not unnaturally refused. There's no way. Hitler can't come in here. Hitler, however, was prepared to bide his time, and especially since there was a growing unrest in two other Czech provinces, Slovakia and Ruthenia, which wanted greater autonomy. Eventually, President Hacha was forced to sack the two premiers, that of Slovakia, and complained to Hitler, who now demanded for Slovakian independence. Hacha went to Berlin to object to this interference in the international Czech affairs or internal Czech affairs, but was subject to such a browbeating that he agreed to place his country under German protection. So this is going to all lead in to the invasion of Poland. That gives you a little background. Still with me. I'm going to pause at about the 10-minute mark and stop this one. I'll do it in segments. So appeasement, this is this policy of appeasement, giving Hitler little concessions of land and country. Western democracies gave in to the demands of aggressor nations such as Japan and Italy and Germany in an attempt to keep the peace. Example, the Munich conference, which I just highlighted for you, giving up parts of Czechoslovakia and most obviously Sudetenland. So I'm going to pause here, and then I'm going to pick up with the Nazi-Soviet Pact, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact in a moment. So please go to the next video after this one in the segment. Thank you, World History A students. Thank you, CSET students, for checking on this video. Keep studying, keep working, and I hope this was helpful to you. Call or email with your questions.